What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to YGOPD, your Yu-Gi-Oh! Professional Development, and we're back with an episode of 2 Minute Text, going to try to really speed through this. A lot of people in last week's video mentioned Metaltronus, a card I didn't even know existed that I had a few supers of from Legacy. Really cool cards, kind of like Valor, E-Telly, and IDP kind of all rolled into one. Decided to take a look at the same decks I listed last week up here on screen and go through them and see how good maybe this card is with targets, both the main deck and the extra deck. But with all that said, let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, for all the Snake Eye variants, Fire Dragon is going to be your best bet. That's kind of be the same thing for Tenpai. The easiest main deck targets is, of course, in the mirror if you have Tenpais, or Flamberge. That's going to be the easiest go-to. The extra deck targets for this, I chose ones that are good, but probably not common in the mirror, so maybe just somewhat generic targets that you could play in any deck. The one I picked for this is Black Rose. For Branded and Branded Chimera, the main decks are Jack and Bigfoot, and for the extra deck targets, Guardian Chimera and Jerry actually seem like decent ones. The other option for Branded and Branded Chimera can be Light Spellcaster, I guess. They play enough of those sometimes between Quem and Cartesia. So Effect Veiler is an easy go-to, so are Lina and Celine for the extra deck. For Centurion, Light Dragon seem to be the main theme. So Ringo Worm, Saphira, Seifert, not all super generic, but Ringo Worm maybe you get the most utility out of across the board. And for the extra deck target, Golden Cloud Beast. This seems very similar to starting to look like punishment targets. So if your deck has no extra deck or can take good use of it, like say Voiceless, you might be in a good spot there. For Labyrinth, or I guess Unchained and Yubel, Dark Fiend is the common there. Backjack and Edge Imp Chain are decent targets from the main deck if your deck can support them. If not, the extra deck is probably the easiest one here. Things like Chaos Angel, Yama, Nightmare Unicorn, and even Typhon all match that setup. For Pearly and Melodious, Light Fairy is a good piece there. The main deck, Diviner, obviously, is probably the main go-to, obviously. But the extra deck target, Elder Entity Entis, is probably the easiest card you can squeeze in there. For Pearly on the Dark Fairy side, which isn't as great, Condemned Witch is okay. Aluber is okay. Again, their effects are negated, but if you're looking for something that might be in a deck, those would be the ones. For the extra deck, the Time Lord Synchro, I guess, because Tenpai, that's been coming up a little bit more. Astrolaud and even Alvain, maybe if you already run a card like Ready Fusion. For Kashtira, again, Earth and then Wind, and then the typing being Psychic. Obviously, the main deck target is going to be Unicorn and Fenrir, of course. A lot of decks are playing Cash Engines right now, so that's a pretty common go-to. For the extra deck, Shen and Psychic Life Transfer are okay ones, at least from what I looked at. Life Transfer is at least a time card, be it a bad one, but is still an option nonetheless. And lastly, for Flunder, Wind Wing Beast is obviously the go-to. Griffin Rider is a decent main deck target. I doubt I would really run this card by itself, but at least it's a free special summon. It might work in Adventure Pile decks, of course. And then Fuko, the level or rank 1 bird that's trying to prevent Tenpai OTKs and stuff like that, is another go-to if you already have that in your extra deck. But that's a quick look at Metaltronus. I picked what I think are some of the most represented decks in the format, as well as then what main deck target is most generic that you could probably come up with that overlaps with the format, as well as extra deck. But let me know what you think about this card. If you have a deck that doesn't use the extra deck, maybe already runs a few overlapping punishment targets, this might be something worth exploring. So let me know what you think, and I'll see you all on Sunday. Later.